Hello, Ajahn John here. Do you know who Marie Curie was? She was a scientist involved with the discovery of radiation, and she is saying in this quotation that we should be interested in scientific research, not necessarily for any practical purpose, but just for the sake of knowledge. For the sake of knowledge. SAKE. Now, I'm not sure I quite agree with that, because we only have a limited amount of time and resources at our disposal, so we should be careful that the projects we devote our time to may have some useful purpose. We can also clearly see that many scientific projects involve many years of research and millions of dollars. For example, space research, or the CERN Hadron Collider, an enormous project involving the collaboration of over 10,000 scientists and engineers, which lies in a tunnel 27 kilometers in circumference and as deep as 175 meters. An incredible project. So with something like that, we need to be quite sure that there are positive benefits to be gained, not just more knowledge. It's satisfying to explore our curiosity about the world and ask questions and find answers, but when we are involved in a great deal of time and money and effort, then I think we need to be quite careful about what we choose to research. This must be quite a difficult task for governments and scientists to choose what projects they're going to spend time and money on, but we can clearly see areas in our world which certainly deserve investigation. For example, curing diseases, finding better ways to deal with food production, and better transportation and communication technology. However, when looking at something like zoology, for example, where scientists may spend a great deal of time just observing the behavior of animals, it is questionable whether this is a productive way to spend our time. Where does our curiosity come from, our desire to know things? When children are young, they ask adults many questions. Where do we go when we die? How are babies born? And why is it dark at night? I don't know where this curiosity comes from. It may be stimulated by something the child has seen in his environment. For example, he may have seen a movie, and in the movie there is a funeral, and the child may then start wondering what will happen to the person who has died. Or we may be born with a curiosity. Maybe this has some advantage in enabling us to survive. A desire for knowledge may lead us to be able to control our world better and thus have a better chance of survival. I think curiosity tends to wane as we get older, partly, I suppose, because we have learned so much already. and maybe also because we accept more readily that there are just many things we cannot know. What do you think the potential of scientific knowledge is? Do you think that in the future we can know about everything? Everything which we can ask a question about? This does seem probable as we develop more and more scientific methods of investigation. It seems likely that any question which can be asked can also be answered, providing, of course, it is a rational question. I would say this does not include the question, for example, does God exist? Because I would not classify this as a rational question according to scientific terms. But we could ask the question, does life exist on other planets? That would be a rational question to which we have the possibility of finding out an answer. What are you curious about, and what would you like to see more scientific research into? I suppose a popular topic for all of us would be how to be stronger, have better health, and live longer. But it seems unlikely that science is going to be able to do much there, because we are born with bodies which grow old and die. This seems to be in the nature of all living organisms, and doesn't seem to be really within our control. However, we can certainly find cures for certain diseases and ailments, and find ways to make our lives more comfortable and pleasurable. Let's do an essay question now. Do you think scientific investigation should just be for the sake of acquiring new knowledge, as Marie Curie said, or do you think it should be directed according to our practical needs? So, introduction. Scientific investigation has been going on for thousands, maybe even millions of years, and this is where our technological expertise has come from. Scientific investigation has enabled us to develop incredible ways of traveling, communicating with each other, and finding entertainment. Second paragraph. I'm going to support that scientific investigation should have a practical objective. Given that we have a limited amount of time, money, and skills, we really need to focus our investigations on the areas which are likely to be most useful to mankind. There is no shortage of areas which we can work on. For example, curing diseases like cancer, finding better ways to produce food so that we can have sufficient food for the whole world. Maybe also in the area of space exploration, which opens up the possibility of living on other planets, of getting resources from other planets, and also maybe coming face to face with new life forms, possibly more advanced than our own. To spend time and money on projects which are just the personal desire of a particular scientist or a group of people to learn about, I think is not the best way to utilize our resources. Third paragraph, let's say something in support of pure science. On the other hand, people have a never-ending curiosity and fascination with learning about things, and we should try to satisfy this where we can. People who have the time and resources to find out about things just for the sake of it, should be encouraged and helped where possible, and we should continue to value knowledge just for the satisfaction of knowing more things. In conclusion, I think we do have to be careful about how we use our resources in scientific research, because they can be very expensive and time-consuming. However, there is still a place for learning's sake in our world. Learning for learning's sake, SAKE. When I walk around this town every day, I do ask myself lots of questions, but not so much in regard to the physical world, more about the social world. I studied psychology at university, and although I cannot profess to having learned much at university, in the years since then I have learned a great deal about the way people think and behave, and this continues to fascinate me. So when wandering around, I will be looking at people and asking, and hopefully also answering some questions about why people behave in certain ways, and also about whether I am seeing their behavior in an objective way, or am I biased by my own thoughts. So psychology as an area of investigation is not only observing other people, but also observing yourself, and this continues to interest me. It's also very useful as a teacher, because most of the topics in exams and in class discussions will be about social issues and the way people behave. So what is your special area of interest, and while you are moving through your life, do you pay attention to your curiosities? Do you look for new answers, or do you just accept that things are the way they are and you are not really interested in knowing why things exist the way they do? Thank you for listening. Goodbye.